The betrayal at Stellar Concord. The void between stars had never seemed so alive as Prime Minister Alaina Vasquez gazed through the reinforced viewport of the diplomatic cruiser U's Harmony. Hundreds of alien vessels surrounded them, their designs defying everything human engineers had thought possible. Some ships appeared to be made of living coral that pulsed with bioluminescent signals. Others were geometric nightmares of angles that hurt to look at directly. This was humanity's moment to step onto the galactic stage. As an equal partner among the stars, Natalina adjusted her formal black suit one final time and turned to face her delegation. General Marcus Chun stood at attention, his weathered face showing no emotion despite the historic nature of their mission. Beside him, Ambassador David Park reviewed his notes on alien customs for what must have been the 1000th time. The linguistic expert, Dr. Rachel Torres, whispered practice phrases in 3 different alien languages, her pronunciation growing more confident with each repetition. The journey to reach this point had taken 15 years since first contact. A Valari exploration vessel had detected Earth's electromagnetic emissions and decided humanity was ready for introduction to the greater galactic community. The years that followed brought careful exchanges of technology and culture. Humans learned they were one of the younger species in a galaxy filled with civilizations millions of years old. The Galactic Federation maintained peace between hundreds of species through diplomacy and shared technological advancement. Apex 7 Station grew larger as they approached, its crystalline structure catching starlight and refracting it into rainbow patterns. The station was neutral territory, built by the ancient architects who had vanished millennia ago, but left behind structures that no current species could replicate. It was here that new species were formally inducted into the Federation, protected by laws and traditions older than human civilization. Captain Sofia Rodriguez announced their arrival over the ship's communication system. Alaina felt her heart rate increase as docking clamps secured their vessel to the station. This was it. Everything humanity had worked toward came down to the next few hours. If the ceremony went well, Earth would gain access to technologies that could solve their energy crisis, cure diseases, and open the entire galaxy for exploration. If it went poorly, humanity might find itself isolated or worse, marked as a threat to be eliminated. The airlock opened with a soft hiss, revealing a corridor that seemed to be carved from a single piece of opalescent stone. Waiting for them was Ambassador Thelix of the Valari, the species that had sponsored humanity's admission to the Federation. Thelix stood 8 feet tall on legs that bent in 3 places, covered in feathers that shifted color based on emotion. Currently, they displayed a pattern of gold and blue that Alaina had learned meant welcome and joy. Behind, Thelix stood representatives from a dozen other species. The Morteki floated in environmental suits filled with methane, their tentacles pressing against the transparent aluminum in greeting. The silicon-based crystalline collective sent geometric ambassadors that chimed in harmonious frequencies. Even the enigmatic void dancers had sent an emissary, though their representative was just a shadow that moved independently of any light source. Alaina stepped forward and performed the Federation greeting, touching her forehead, heart, and extending her palm outward in the universal gesture of peaceful intentions. The assembled aliens returned the gesture in their own ways, creating a symphony of movement that would have seemed like chaos to anyone unfamiliar with galactic protocols. The procession moved through the station toward the great assembly hall where the formal ceremony would take place. Alaina noticed how some aliens watched them with what appeared to be curiosity, while others showed signs of skepticism. Humanity was controversial. They had developed nuclear weapons before achieving spaceflight, had a history of internal conflicts, and possessed a level of adaptability that made some species nervous. Ambassador Park walked beside her, quietly identifying the various delegations they passed. The Zanari Trade Consortium controlled much of the galaxy's commerce, and seemed interested in Earth's rare minerals. The scholarly Order of Nexus cataloged all knowledge and had already sent requests to study human history and culture. Most importantly, the three major military powers were all present: the Valkyrie Republic that sponsored them, the mysterious Phantom Syndicate, and the aggressive Krellian Empire. The Krellians worried Elena the most. Their empire controlled 40 star systems through a combination of military might and political manipulation. They viewed other species as either threats to be destroyed or resources to be exploited. Intelligence reports suggested they had opposed humanity's admission to the Federation, viewing Earth's rapid technological advancement as a potential challenge to their dominance. Emperor. Cracks of the Krellian Empire stood near the center of the assembly hall, surrounded by his royal guard. Each guard stood 9 feet tall, covered in natural armor plating that could deflect most energy weapons. Cracks himself was even more imposing, with 4 arms that ended in razor-sharp claws and eyes that glowed with an internal red light. When he looked at Elena, she felt like prey being evaluated by a predator. The ceremony began with the traditional recitation of the Federation Charter in the original architect language that no current species fully understood, but all recognized as sacred. Each member species then offered a gift to humanity, following protocols established over millions of years. The Valkyrie presented a data crystal containing the basic principles of faster-than-light travel. The Zenari offered trade agreements that would bring prosperity to Earth. Even the reclusive Phantom Syndicate provided a small device that would allow humans to detect previously invisible cosmic phenomena. When the Krellians' turn came, Emperor Krax stepped forward with what appeared to be a ceremonial chalice made from a metal that seemed to absorb light. His translator unit converted his growling speech into words humans could understand, though the tone remained menacing. The Krellian Empire offers this traditional cup of unity, filled with the nectar of peace from our homeworld. By drinking from this vessel, Earth's leader accepts the responsibilities and privileges of Federation membership. But know this, humans. The galaxy is not as peaceful as you have been led to believe. Strength determines survival among the stars. Elena accepted the chalice with both hands, following the protocol Park had drilled into her. The liquid inside was dark purple and had an oily consistency that made her stomach turn. But refusing would be considered an insult that could destroy humanity's chances of joining the Federation. She raised the cup to the assembled delegates and spoke the traditional words of acceptance that had been spoken by representatives of hundreds of species before her. On behalf of Earth and all humanity, I accept this gesture of unity and fellowship. May our species work together for the betterment of all sentient beings. May peace guide our actions and wisdom shape our futures. She brought the chalice to her lips and drank deeply. The liquid tasted metallic and bitter, coating her throat. As it went down, for a moment, nothing happened. Then Elena felt her muscles begin to seize. The chalice fell from her suddenly numb fingers, shattering on the crystal floor. Her vision blurred as her nervous system began shutting down, and she heard screaming from multiple species in their native languages. General Chun caught her as she collapsed, his military training overriding diplomatic protocol. Dr. Torres rushed forward with the medical kit they had brought, but her scanner showed nothing that human medicine could fix. The poison was specifically designed for human biology, engineered at the molecular level to attack their unique neural pathways. Elena's last coherent thought, before darkness claimed her, was that humanity had been betrayed before they even had a chance to prove themselves. Someone wanted Earth out of the galactic community permanently, and they had just declared war on a species that had survived everything their own planet could throw at them. Asterisk. The assembly hall erupted into chaos. Valkyrie security forces moved to seal the exits, while their medical teams tried desperately to save Elena's life. The Zenari demanded answers, their profit calculations disrupted by this unprecedented breach of diplomatic immunity. Even the normally emotionless crystalline collective resonated with frequencies that indicated alarm and confusion. Emperor Krax stood perfectly still amid the chaos. His forearms crossed in what might have been satisfaction. When security forces approached him, he simply stated that he had diplomatic immunity and that the liquid had been tested as safe by Federation standards. The fact that it was deadly to humans was an unfortunate oversight that no one could have predicted. General Chun knew better. His soldiers' instincts recognized an assassination when he saw one. The Krellians had planned this, knowing that killing Earth's leader during the ceremony would either provoke humanity into a war they couldn't win or force them to accept the murder and reveal themselves as weak. Either outcome would benefit the Empire. As Elena Vasquez drew her last breath in an alien station far from home, something changed in the human delegation. The grief and rage that filled them was carefully controlled, hidden behind diplomatic masks. But every human present understood that this would not go unanswered. Earth had extended the hand of friendship and received death in return. Ambassador Park took command of the situation with cold efficiency. He announced that the delegation would return to Earth with their leader's body, and that humanity would respond through proper diplomatic channels. His words were calm and measured, giving no hint of the storm that was about to be unleashed. The journey back to Earth took 3 days through hyperspace. During that time, not a single human spoke about what had happened. They didn't need to. The silence said everything. When they emerged in Earth's solar system, they found a planet already in mourning. The assassination had been broadcast live to Earth, and billions had watched their leader die while trying to join the galactic community. Humanities. Calculated vengeance. The transformation of Earth began the moment Elena Vasquez's body was returned home. President Michael Harrison, who had assumed leadership, addressed the planet from the Global Defense Command bunker beneath Geneva. His words were measured, but every human who heard them understood their true meaning. Earth would have justice, regardless of what galactic law said about diplomatic immunity. Within hours of the address, something unprecedented happened. Every nation on Earth, regardless of their historical conflicts, pledged full support to whatever action the global government deemed necessary. Ancient enemies shared military secrets. Economic rivals pooled resources. Religious differences were set aside. Humanity united with a singular purpose that had never been achieved in their entire history. Director Sarah Mitchell of Earth's Strategic Intelligence Division had been preparing for this possibility since first contact. Her network of human agents, disguised as traders, scholars, and diplomatic staff, had been gathering intelligence throughout Federation space for years. The aliens had dismissed humans as newcomers, never suspecting that Earth's children were natural spies and adapters. The intelligence was revealing. The Krellian Empire was more vulnerable than they appeared. Their control over subordinate species relied on fear and outdated technology. They refused to upgrade out of arrogance. Many of their subject races despised them, but lacked the means to rebel. Most importantly, the Krellians had never faced an enemy that thought like humans did. Dr. James Way led the scientific response from his laboratory on Mars. His team had been reverse engineering alien technology since first contact, but now they had a specific goal. They needed weapons that could penetrate Krellian armor and shields, but more importantly, they needed something that would shock the galaxy into recognizing humanity as a force to be respected. The breakthrough came from an unexpected source. Dr. Lisa Chong had been studying quantum entanglement for communication purposes when she discovered a way to weaponize the phenomenon. By entangling particles at the quantum level and then separating them, they could create weapons that bypassed shields entirely. A projectile fired at one location could damage a target light years away if properly entangled. Admiral Rebecca Foster took command of Earth's rapidly expanding fleet. Ships designed for system defense were retrofitted with hyperspace drives. Civilian vessels were converted into warships. Most remarkably, humanity's manufacturing capabilities proved far more adaptable than anyone had expected. Within 6 months, Earth had assembled a fleet of 300 vessels, each equipped with quantum disruption weapons. The recruitment centers couldn't process volunteers fast enough. Veterans came out of retirement. Office workers enlisted for combat training. Even teenagers lied about their age to join humanity's first interstellar military force. They trained in conditions that would have killed most Federation species, preparing for war in environments with different gravity, atmosphere, and radiation levels. Captain Thomas Blake commanded the stealth vessel UES Ghost, humanity's most advanced spy ship. His mission was to infiltrate Krellian space and identify their weaknesses. What he discovered changed everything. The Empire's subject species weren't just oppressed. They were actively looking for any opportunity to rebel. All they needed was proof that the Krellians could be defeated. The first contact came from the Salvani, an insectoid species that had been enslaved by the Krellians for 3 centuries. Their representative met Blake's team on a remote moon, offering detailed intelligence about Krellian fleet positions and defense stations. In exchange, they wanted humanity's promise that when the Krellians fell, the Salvani would be free. Similar meetings followed with other species. The aquatic Tereki controlled the Empire's food production and offered to poison supplies. The crystalline shard provided information about weak points in Krellian armor. Even some Valari military officers, disgusted by the Federation's refusal to punish the assassination, secretly offered support. President Harrison and his War Council developed what they called Operation Nemesis. It wouldn't be a conventional war of conquest. Humanity didn't have the numbers or resources for that. Instead, they would strike simultaneously at symbols of Krellian power, demonstrating to the galaxy that the Empire could be hurt and inspiring others to rise up. The operation began exactly 1 year after Elena Vasquez's assassination. Across 40 star systems, human strike teams appeared without warning. They didn't attack civilian populations or infrastructure. Instead, they targeted Krellian military installations, governance centers, and most importantly, the fear factories where the Empire tortured dissidents to keep populations in line. The U.E.'s Thunderstrike, commanded by Captain Maria Rodriguez, emerged from hyperspace directly above the Krellian Military Academy on Krax Prime. Before defense systems could respond, they fired quantum disruption torpedoes that passed through shields as if they didn't exist. The Academy's command structure disintegrated at the molecular level, leaving the building standing, but everything inside reduced to component atoms. On 17 different worlds, human special forces teams freed political prisoners and resistance leaders. They distributed weapons and communication devices to rebel groups, along with tactical data about Krellian weaknesses. The message was clear. Humanity would support anyone willing to fight for their freedom. The Krellian response was predictable and brutal. Emperor Krax ordered his entire fleet to converge on Earth, intending to reduce the planet to molten slag. 400 Krellian warships, each capable of destroying continents, entered Earth's solar system expecting to face a desperate defense. Instead, they found empty space and automated beacons, broadcasting a simple message. The message, delivered in perfect Krellian dialect, said, "You are already defeated. You just don't know it yet." Admiral Foster had anticipated this move and evacuated Earth's defense fleet to predetermined positions throughout the galaxy. As the Krellians approached Earth, finding it protected only by orbital defense platforms, they never noticed the quantum-entangled particles that had been attached to their hulls during their journey through hyperspace. The moment the Krellian fleet entered Earth's orbit, Foster gave the order. Hundreds of human ships scattered across the galaxy fired their quantum weapons simultaneously. The projectiles disappeared into space, seeming to miss their targets entirely. But light years away, Krellian ships began exploding from the inside. As the entangled particles delivered their devastating payloads, directly through shields and armor, the Battle of Earth's Shadow, as historians would later call it, lasted exactly 17 minutes. The entire Krellian invasion fleet was destroyed without firing a single shot at Earth. The orbital defense platforms, which the Krellians had dismissed as primitive, revealed themselves to be quantum transmission nodes that had coordinated the entire defense. But humanity wasn't finished. As news of the Krellian fleet's destruction spread through the galaxy, every oppressed species in the Empire saw their opportunity. The rebellions that followed were swift and coordinated, supported by human advisors and weapons. Within 3 months, the Krellian Empire had lost control of 35 of their 40 systems. Emperor Krax himself met his end not at human hands, but from his own royal guard. The Krellian soldiers had realized their leader's arrogance had doomed their species. They executed him in the traditional manner of failed warriors and sent his head to Earth as a gesture of surrender. The Galactic Federation called an emergency assembly to address what they called the human crisis. Many species were terrified by humanity's display of military innovation and coordination. Others were impressed by their restraint in not destroying Krellian civilians. The debate raged for days before Ambassador Park addressed the assembly, spoke simply and directly, without the flowery diplomatic language the Federation expected. Humanity had been murdered while extending friendship. They had responded with justice, not vengeance. They had freed enslaved species, not conquered them. If the Federation wanted humans as enemies, they would find Earth ready. If they wanted humans as protectors of the weak and oppressed, they would find Earth equally ready. The vote was closer than anyone expected, but humanity was officially admitted to the Galactic Federation with full membership rights. More importantly, they were given authority to oversee the dissolution of the Krellian Empire and the liberation of its subject species. The message to the galaxy was clear. Humans were not to be underestimated or betrayed. 5 years after Elena Vasquez's assassination, Earth had become the unofficial mediator for disputes between species. Their embassy on Apex 7, built on the site where Elena had died, became a symbol of justice and protection for smaller species who had previously had no voice in galactic affairs. The quantum disruption technology was shared with defensive alliances, but kept under human control to prevent its misuse. Earth's fleet, now recognized as one of the most advanced in the galaxy despite its small size, patrolled the space lanes, protecting merchant vessels and scientific expeditions from Gempra, pirates and aggressors. President Harrison retired after serving 2 terms, replaced by General Chun, who had caught Elena as she fell. His first act was to establish the Vasquez Doctrine. Earth would respond to any attack on peaceful species as if it were an attack on humanity itself. The galaxy had learned that humans were dangerous when provoked, but they were learning something else too. Humans were even more dangerous as friends and protectors. They brought innovation, determination, and a refusal to accept that might makes right. Species that had been oppressed for millennia found hope in humanity's example. The balance of power in the galaxy shifted not through conquest, but through the simple idea that every sentient being deserved freedom and respect. The Krellian Empire became a cautionary tale told throughout the galaxy. They had awakened a sleeping giant by killing one human. They had united a divided species through their treachery. And they had learned that humanity's greatest weapon wasn't their technology or their military might. It was their ability to inspire others to stand up and fight for their freedom. As Earth's influence grew, other aggressive species took note. The Phantom Syndicate quietly withdrew from several systems they had been planning to conquer. The Zenari Trade Consortium revised their contracts to be more equitable. Even the ancient architects' automated systems seemed to respond more favorably to human presence, opening previously sealed archives and sharing knowledge that had been hidden for eons. The galaxy had fundamentally changed the day Elena Vasquez died. But perhaps that change had been inevitable. Humanity brought something new to the ancient Federation, the belief that justice was worth fighting for, that freedom was worth dying for, and that no species, no matter how powerful, had the right to oppress others. The memorial built for Elena Vasquez on Earth became a pilgrimage site not just for humans, but for beings from across the galaxy. Her words, spoken moments before her death, were inscribed in 1,000 languages. We come in peace, but we will not die quietly. And the galaxy had learned that when humanity made a promise, whether of friendship or retribution, they kept it. Asterisk.